Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome everyone out to Raleigh, the big capital. Thank you for taking the time to attend our press conference today. My name is Doug Isley. I'm a resident of Rockingham County. I'm a former school board member and I served on the Rockingham County Planning Board. We have several speakers this morning. A few of our citizens are from Rockingham, Nash, and Anson counties, and they'll be sharing some comments. And we also have some other individuals that are going to be speaking on behalf of their organization and causes. At the end of our comment segment, we'll have a Q&A session for the press. The reason we're here today at the Legislative Building is casinos, video lottery terminals, and lots of cash from out-of-state gambling companies that are flooding the bank accounts of a large number of the legislators here in Raleigh. This year we've already seen the approval of mobile sports betting, which marked the largest gambling expansion in recent history. Citizens have a number of issues with what's going on. First, even though some people call it bribes, it's legal to take these donations, but it doesn't paint the representatives in a good light. There's an issue of lack of transparency from our Senate and House representatives, not allowing input from residents in the counties marked for casinos to be built by Cordish Group, it appears. The idea of adding four massive casinos as well as injecting tens of thousands of video slot machines in North Carolina neighborhoods should be authorized through the legislation process, not a budget process. I personally object to the hasty, ill-considered proposals for the expansion of commercial gaming in our communities. Furthermore, the fact that these negotiations are currently being considered behind closed doors is disheartening. The true cost of this policy will be paid by the most vulnerable among us. Beyond the human impact, the social cost of gambling, from increased crime and the burdens on the healthcare system to increased welfare and other entitlement costs, as described in numerous studies over the years, could easily outweigh the savings to the taxpayers. I firmly urge decision makers to avoid rushing into any further gambling expansion without careful consideration. We must thoroughly understand the implication of mobile sports betting before contemplating another substantial expansion. We are community leaders, we're citizens, and we are asking that you, the elected officials here at the Legislative Building, do not include casinos and video lottery terminals in this year's budget. At the very least, we request that no legislation be passed until the public has had sufficient opportunity to voice their opinions and weigh in on the potential consequences of gambling with our state's future. I want to thank everyone that came out from the different counties. A lot of folks are working today. A lot of people are just coming off a vacation, so it's nice to have a great crowd, and I appreciate the media and the great turnout. It's very, very appreciative. Now I'd like to introduce to you the president of the North Carolina Family Policy Council who will be speaking, Mr. John Rustin.
Thank you, Doug. Folks, thank you all for being here. Everybody that came from across the state and members of the media, thank you for your attention and for your being here as well. I am John Rustin, president of the North Carolina Family Policy Council. We are a faith-based research, education, and advocacy organization, and I appreciate the opportunity to share with you today. NC Family has been researching the effects of gambling and gambling addiction on individuals, families, and communities for over 30 years. Decades of research clearly demonstrates that the more prevalent gambling is, and the more forms of gambling that are legalized and advertised, the more citizens will gamble. Different forms of gambling cater to different interests of different people, so the more forms of gambling that exist, the more citizens will participate. Of those who do, a significant percentage will develop a problem or pathological gambling issue. Like many addictions, problem and pathological gambling manifests itself in a host of economic and social harms, including increases in theft, embezzlement, job loss, personal bankruptcy, substance abuse, domestic violence, child abuse, divorce, and even suicide. This is the human cost of legalized gambling and gambling addiction, and this is why we care. 3 months ago, the North Carolina General Assembly authorized statewide sports gambling, making every computer, tablet, iPhone, and smartphone in the state a potential gambling device. The legislation also legalized pari-mutuel wagering on horse racing. Just 2 weeks ago, the State Lottery Commission voted to implement digital instants, which is essentially online video gambling. And now our lawmakers are discussing legalizing up to 4 commercial gambling casinos as well as video lottery terminals, which would add an estimated 30,000 additional video gambling machines across our state. And speaking of casinos, today's destination casinos are huge all-in-one commercial developments, not just gambling venues. They include hotels, restaurants, entertainment venues, conference space, retail space, and the like to keep customers locked in gambling for as long as possible. In these casinos, there are typically no windows, there are no clocks on the walls to help gamblers lose track of time and their money. If you look at the website for the Caesars Casino that's being built in Danville, Virginia right now, it says the property plans include a 500-room hotel, a world-class casino gaming floor with over 1,300 slots, 85 live table games, 24 electronic table games, a World Series of Poker room, and Caesars Sportsbook. So they'll have sports gambling there as well. In addition, the resort will include a full-service spa, pool, high-quality bars and restaurants, a 2,500-seat state-of-the-art live entertainment theater, and 40,000 square feet of meeting and convention space. What do you think the impact of this is going to have on existing hotels, restaurants, entertainment venues in these areas, or in Danville, and if this legislation moves forward in these communities in North Carolina? Research shows that casinos cannibalize the local economy and compete directly against local restaurants, hotels, retailers, and other entertainment venues for customers and employees. They also siphon money away from local spending on consumer goods and personal savings. It's very simple. Casinos make money when citizens lose money. Moreover, casinos are often magnets for crime, violence, illegal gaming operations, prostitution, and human trafficking. So why have our state lawmakers suddenly come down with gambling fever? The only reasonable explanation is the gambling industry's promises of riches, not for our citizens, but for our government and the gambling industry itself. A recent report by former Democracy North Carolina Director Bob Hall identified 38 gambling-related businesses and associations, including 29 outside of North Carolina, that are paying over 70 different lobbyists. I say that again, over 70 different lobbyists in this legislative building to push for casinos and video gambling machines in North Carolina. And why? Again, it's all about the money. But at what cost? The lives and well-being of tens of thousands of North Carolina citizens, their families, and their communities. That's why these fine people are here standing up for Rockingham County, for Nash County, for Anson County, and all points across North Carolina. Friends, we are better than this. North Carolina has once again been ranked as the best state in the nation for business. We don't need to resort to gambling to balance the state budget, to pad the state's coffers, or to fill the pockets of the gambling industry. Thank you for your time and attention.
Good morning. My name is Joni Robbins, and I am a resident of Nash County, and I am not a politician, but I am here because this is not about politics. This is about people. This is about the next generation. Our kids today have enough bad things on their doorstep. Nash County, I can speak for them, and I know these guys back here, Rockingham County and Anson County, they do not want any more bad things at their doorstep. So today we just implore everybody who's in this room here behind me, I want you to know that we don't want it. And we are not very political, but you know what? I'm a mama bear, and I know there's some mama bears out there watching right now. And don't mess with our kids. If you mess with our kids, we will vote you out. So that's all I've got for you today. I just want you to know we don't want it.
All right. All right.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Mangus, and I am a business owner in Nash County. Unlike most of these people here today, I didn't come here just to say no casino. See, me personally, I don't have a problem necessarily with just casinos. As a matter of fact, if you did some research on me, you will quickly find out that not only do I love Las Vegas, but I chose to propose to my wife there years ago by standing on a balcony at the Cosmopolitan overlooking the dancing water fountains of the Bellagio. I promise you, it was pretty awesome. Instead, I'm here today to challenge the wisdom of quickly signing off on the casino bill, or more properly known as Rural Tourism Incentive Program under this year's budget bill. I'm asking you to simply slow down and think things through, to make it a separate bill of its own that you know exactly what you are signing off on. See, in our community of Nash, it is under the belief that we are about to get not one but two five-star hotels with 500 rooms, a 500,000 square foot water park, dozens of upscale dining, lots of retail shopping, 1,000 residential living spaces, thousands of new jobs with an average income of $50,000, an auditorium that sits 2,500 to 5,000 people, become a conference region, and plus a casino. Why do I believe this? It's because locally, Cordish companies have shared their vision of our community to our community with what this would look like. And the fact that it has been the most popular post shared on Facebook by many of our community, state, and city leaders, to the tune of 121 times as of last night. I will be honest, it sounds absolutely amazing. Who would not want this to come to their area if you're looking for growth? The problem for me is when you start to look at what Cordish companies currently has in their entertainment districts versus the casinos. Currently, they look to have completed 9 entertainment districts, with 2 more in the works, and 5 casino and hotel standalones. Ironically, none of the casino and hotel standalones are at the same location as their entertainment districts. The only 2 in question is the 2 they are currently working on, one called the Pomp, which has already agreed to Harrah's Beach Casino, and will be Harrah's brand. The other is Norfolk, which after 2 years, they have not even started development and does not have a casino license. Furthermore, when you look at the entertainment districts in which all reside, apart from Norfolk, all are within 3 to 15 minutes of a major sports teams. The ones within 3 minutes include the Philadelphia Phillies, the 76ers, the Eagles, the Flyers, the Wings, the Baltimore Orioles, the Ravens, the St. Louis Cardinals, Kansas City Royals, Atlanta Braves, and the Dallas Cowboys. Those within 15 minutes are the Kansas City Chiefs, St. Louis Blues, Miami Dolphins, Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta Hawks, and the Kentucky Derby. Another thing I find odd is that it appears that Cordish seems positioned and ready for the sports online betting near the entertainment districts. This year alone, Missouri, Georgia, Texas, Kentucky, and North Carolina all voted whether or not to pass online sports betting. Only Kentucky and North Carolina voted yes. Of course, you may be saying right now, North Carolina doesn't have a Cordish Company entertainment district, and I would agree. But they currently have their staple PBR Cowboy Bar and Sports and Social currently situated within 3 miles of the Carolina Hurricanes at Fenton Cary. And Fenton Cary looks as close to any live entertainment district that I have seen. I truly hope that if they are coming to all the communities, they are bringing all they are promising. Mainly the 1,750 jobs at $50,000 average salary. If they do that one thing, it'll be worth it. Having said that, by the draft bill alone, it will not guarantee to come, as for someone to be counted as an employee, they only have to work 30 weeks at 35 hours. As an industry such as casinos and hotels have a 70 to 80% turnover, that means they can employ roughly 500 to 600 people, and with the sheer turnover alone, qualify for the 1,750. Even if they don't and have to pay the fee, and who would blame them? After all, it's cheaper to pay a $2.5 million fee than $50 million in salaries. I'd probably sign up for that too. I will end with this. The words entertainment district is not in the draft bill. The average salary of $50,000 is not in the draft bill. The words water park, 5-star hotel, conference location, auditorium, retail shopping, fine dining, residential living spaces are all nowhere to be found. The only thing remotely close to any of this is that the land itself has to be eligible for gaming and non-gaming development, and that the developers have 10 years experience in the gaming industry while also having 10 years of mixed use and non-gaming development.
All right, you guys ready? Ready, everybody? Great. All right, thank you guys for all coming here.
Good morning.
Today. My name is Melissa.
I too am just a resident of Rockingham County. Like Joni is a resident of Nash County. I've been living there for 29 years. My name's Elizabeth Corona, and I chose to live in Rockingham County because of its rural qualities. The atmosphere is family, it's God first, country first, and we all watch out for each other. I'm also a realtor, and I know that once this, if this casino is approved, our property values will go down. And future growth will be businesses that go along with the casino lifestyle, not the many homes that are planned or good industry that brings good jobs. People looking to move to our area from out of state will avoid the areas around casinos or choose another state altogether. Many casino jobs are highly specialized, and so those positions will be filled by people from out of state because we don't have experienced people in our state. And that does not help local people at all. On the other hand, our small businesses in Rockingham County, and probably in Nash and Anson counties as well, are already struggling to find good workers and to keep their businesses open with enough help. And so if the casino comes to our areas, it will steal, it will rob employees from our local businesses, and thus they will go under. That will lower our state and county income from lower tax income. Casinos also attract a lot of crime. We don't want more drunk drivers on our roads. We don't want prostitution in our neighborhoods. We don't want our children to be victims of human trafficking. We don't want people who are desperate for money breaking into our homes. We don't want illegal drugs and their deadly effects. We don't want our neighbors to become addicted to gambling and have it destroy their families. Studies show that 90% of a casino's clientele live within 30 miles of the casino. 86.5% of them lose their money. That's money that should have bought groceries for their families, clothes for their children, paid their car payment, rent or mortgage payments. Everyone does have a choice, but do you want to set people up for a disaster or have a part in making our state a better place to live? We, the people, should have a say in this, but we have not. Our counties have made changes in the zoning rules and have rezoned property to open the door for these casinos in our state with complete disregard for what we, the people, want. Our Rockingham County Planning Board voted 5-2 to not approve this rezoning, but the commissioners still voted to rezone it 5-0. Many legislative pockets have been lined with campaign contributions from gambling organizations over the past 2 years, all in an effort to convince our legislators and senators to vote this in, so they can get richer. Not really to help us at all, but so they can get richer. Our state currently has a $3 billion, with a B, dollar surplus. I would rather continue to pay state income taxes than to have casinos come to our area. This issue needs to be voted on as a standalone issue and not tacked on to the budget bill with no opportunity for changes. Our legislators and senators were elected by we the people to present the will of the people, and we the people say no to casinos in our state that will destroy our communities and our neighbors' lives. Thank you.
Good morning. For the past several years, we were told that parents should have more say in decisions. But with a decision of this magnitude, parents are not allowed to vote, especially when the facility is next door to Camp Carefree for kids. Anytime you have an influx of money, you have an influx of crime. When the government decides what's best for the people and not the people themselves, that's socialism. And I've always heard that Republicans were against socialism. We hear the financial benefits to the county, But isn't that the same sales pitch we heard with the educational lottery? Our schools are in poor condition structurally because our politicians have played the shell game with us. For example, they add $500,000 from the lottery and cut $400,000 from the budget. That's why administrators are scrambling for teachers and repairs. Where is the educational lottery money when we have schools so infected with molds that the kids cannot attend? And of all the property in the county, why this parcel of land? Parents and people of this county should decide what's best, not lobbyists padding a few pockets. This is another example of the government stripping away of our personal rights. We have the education lottery, mega lottery, scratch off, online betting. How much gambling is enough? Sadly, they are played by people who can't afford it, trying to get lucky when the odds are stacked against them. Growing up, I was told that this is the Bible Belt we live in. Let's not put down our Bibles for a slot machine. Let the people vote.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. I'm Brandon Liebrick. I live in Rockingham County, live right beside Camp Carefree with my wife and our 4 children, our youngest who has special needs. Camp Carefree has a special place in our heart for that reason, and we love to hear the children laugh and have fun during the summer. And we have a small little goat farm, as well as I'm an attorney out of Greensboro. Before sharing an update on some things that at least Rockingham County citizens will be doing, I wanted to share just a little personal comment. I wanted to read actually a letter that my niece, my 9-year-old niece, wrote to the legislators and the county commissioners. Her name is Rosie. She said, "My name is Rosie. I'm 9 years old. Me and my very good friend have a watermelon stand called the Goodie Shack. We have it where both of our dads work. Our stand is on Highway 220, very close to where the casino might be built. The casino would bring a lot of crime and traffic to where we live and have our business. The residents and citizens of Rockingham County are interested in growth, but we're interested in good growth. That is growth that's good for families, good for communities, and good for businesses. Our community is upset. It has already been shared. The Rockingham County Commissioners, for example, have already approved the rezoning of land that is expected to be used for the casino site. As this has come out, we've talked to people, and there are people who've moved from other states to live in our area. And one lady, for example, she shared, I've lived in an entertainment district before, and they're not entertaining. People are escaping those things from other states, Illinois, Pennsylvania, other states in our country, to come to North Carolina. And this is something, casinos and video lottery terminals are not something that we want. Some announcements with regard to next steps that Rockingham County citizens will be taking. Regarding the rezoning of land, affected landowners will be challenging the decision in court that was made by the Board of Commissioners. Affected landowners have already retained Brian Golden with the Van Winkle law firm that was established over 100 years ago out of Asheville. There are a number of process and substantive concerns we have about the decision, where the county commissioners did not even follow some of their own rules. Furthermore, we have serious concerns about the site chosen right beside Camp Carefree, a camp that's been in existence since 1986, serving special needs and disabled children. The other thing that Rockingham citizens have done, we've set up a 501c4 tax-exempt organization, Citizens for Good Growth in Rockingham County. One, that organization will be used to fund the legal challenge in court, and will also be used to promote good, healthy economic development policies in our county and in our area. The organization is now starting to raise funds, and I'm happy to announce that we've had an anonymous, this gives, in my mind, gives an idea of the outrage in our community. A retired educator has donated $10,000 already to kickstart our campaign, and we've already heard word of other large donations that we expect to have to again, fund the litigation and to use for educating our community. Our final plea is that this is about people, not politics. It's about our communities, not contributions. We really want our legislators to hear us, and for all the other reasons that have stated before us, we would ask that it not be considered in the budget bill this year by legislators. With that, we would like to open up a short question and answer, and then there have been two men in particular, Sheriff Sam Page and former Congressman Mark Walker, that would like to share some comments after a short question and answer for any of those that have already spoken. Well, I think certainly we want them to listen to us. I mean, that's why we're here. I would hope, we would all hope that they would humble themselves and they would listen to the voices. I mean, we certainly have been reaching out to others. We know that there are supporters from other districts and other areas, and certainly, there'll be an opportunity if they don't want to listen to us. There'll be opportunities for us to respond during the election cycle. Certainly. So the site is a little over 192 acres off of U.S. Highway 220 in southwest Rockingham County, about 5 minutes from Guilford County. And it is adjacent to, again, a Camp Carefree, which is a special needs disabled camp, offers summer camps for children. In the off-season, there are churches, there are small businesses, and others that use that camp. And then bordering to the north of the camp is a residential community, planned residential community. Admittedly, on one side, on a very small fraction of the land, there are some highway business, existing highway businesses. But for the most part, almost all the surrounding parcels are residential or residential agriculture. I mean, I think that's something that we are very upset about. The fact that that particular site has been chosen is likely to be the site because it's something that area of the county. It's not even an incorporated area; it's an unincorporated area for which we're not used to having that type of growth. And again, most people, as has been mentioned, most people have moved to that area to escape the big city. I myself and family, we moved 5 years ago from Greensboro to get away from some of the large city things.
What about the idea that you're going to have bankrupt state line you're already going to suffer?
I mean, I don't know if anyone else has any comments, but I think the reality is, I don't know that just because someone makes a bad decision, our state should do the same thing. That would be my response, and I think maybe others would share that same sentiment. I'm not sure it's good policy. In other words, if we see another state making a bad decision, a bad policy decision, where all that's being considered is the revenue and not the cost of obtaining that revenue, I think that's the issue. Well, if there are no other questions, we really appreciate your time, and I want to now turn it over first to Sheriff Sam Page, who again has been helping us get our voices heard and currently serves as Sheriff of Rockingham County.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sheriff Sam Page from Rockingham County, and I'm speaking as the Sheriff of Rockingham County. Listen to what I say when I say this. I love Mayberry, and there's nothing wrong with living in a Mayberry thought process. But if I had my choices, I'd rather live in Mayberry than I would Las Vegas. You've heard several people here today talk about the problems that casinos and gaming brings to communities. They've named them. You've listened to the crime issues. We see them in law enforcement and public safety. I'd first like to thank everybody behind me for coming out and making a long trip to Raleigh to speak with our representatives in our legislature regarding our opposition to legalizing of casinos and video lottery terminals in the current state budget discussion. As you know, my name is Sam Page, Sheriff of Rockingham County. Historically speaking, the sheriffs of North Carolina, our police agencies, and our North Carolina alcohol law enforcement officers have worked for 22 years to enforce against illegal gaming machines in our state. However, we've been sued, injuncted, investigated crimes that these type of illegal gaming operations have created in our communities. We've seen the impact of video gaming in our communities and the impact on the families. A little over a month ago, I was contacted by Senator Berger and House Member Reese Pirtle regarding video lottery terminals. I listened to what they had to say. Following that conversation, more information has come out about casinos being supported by the Senate and being considered as a budget revenue source in the House. There has been very little transparency. There has been very little transparency in these discussions with our citizens regarding the state budget revenue consideration, and it's not right. I was quite surprised that our conservative Republicans in the legislature would even consider casinos and video lottery terminals as a possible revenue source. My thought was, what's next? Legalization of recreational marijuana? That's a revenue source, and that's also another very slippery slope. Any gambling businesses, without question, are based upon a predatory business model. And remember, casinos and video gaming machines are all about making money for the business, not for the consumer, who may just be developing a gambling addiction that will not only affect the person, but their family and the community. Our communities are already battling mental health issues. In our state, we have lack of inpatient beds for people that need treatment. Our hospitals are packed up, emergency rooms. We have fentanyl poisoning, and we have overdose deaths every day in the state. 12 people die every day due to overdoses. 70% of those are due to fentanyl. Let's not add additional problems with gambling addiction to public safety and public health. Public safety is the first responsibility of our government, and as a sheriff of my county, I don't take that responsibility very lightly. We've had local meetings with our citizens and our local board of commissioners to address the issues and to ask the state to consider a local referendum in the legislature to allow for the people of our county to make a decision to vote whether or not to approve casinos to operate in our county. Now, that makes me think of we the people. When I think of we the people in our Constitution, that lets me know who I work for. I work for the people. Our elected officials work for the people, and we should never forget that. The Board of Commissioners in Nash County supported a resolution for a local referendum recently regarding casinos. I've spoken to sheriffs recently across the great state of North Carolina and made them aware of our efforts to oppose legalizing casinos in 3 locations and possibly 4 in North Carolina and legalizing video lottery terminals. I have personally spoken to members of the legislature recently and expressed my concerns and offered a proposal for a local referendum. I haven't heard anything else. Today I'm asking to the legislature, listen to what I'm saying to the members of the legislature. Today I'm asking that the North Carolina legislature support a local referendum in the affected North Carolina counties regarding casinos. Our representatives have the chance today to stand up and show that they represent their citizens in their respective counties by allowing our citizens to have a voice in the destiny and values in their communities where they live. If our representatives here today in the House cannot support a local referendum in North Carolina regarding casinos, then I would ask that the House members caucus today to vote no to casinos legalization off the Cherokee and Catawba Indian reservations. Today, the North Carolina House can show our citizens across the great state of North Carolina that they have their ear, not outside special interest groups and lobbyists. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Brendan Liebrick, for the great work. Though we're not officially associated with this group, we've enjoyed working with them since day one. You say, well, why would I be here? Why would I be speaking? I had the privilege of representing Rockingham County for 6 years, 3 terms in Congress. And I actually live closer to the proposed site, less than 5 miles, than most of the county commissioners there in Rockingham County. The third reason, I guess, is because as these folks were looking for somebody to reach out to, many of the elected officials, including the lieutenant governor, simply did not respond to their requests. So we were glad to pick up the fight with these guys. There's 2 arguments to be made here. One is from a moral or faith perspective. I applaud the work of John Rustin and Tom Kakadalis, certainly Pastor Mark Creech and his organization, because there is a moral or faith argument to be made. as far as how we want to raise our families and what we believe is the best moral path for all North Carolinians. If you look at it from a moral perspective, you can understand that according to the National Association of Addiction Professionals, problem gambling has the highest suicide rate of all addictions. I want to make sure you hear that. Problem gambling has the highest suicide rate of all addictions. And unlike other addictions such as alcohol or other drug issues that are supported by the federal government with billions of dollars of research and treatment, problem gambling has none. And if you look at even the most conservative statistics, we're talking about 4 million plus people who've had problems with not just the sports betting on the day-to-day weekend or out on the golf match, if you will, on the golf course. This is heavy-duty problem gambling. You can look up these statistics on addiction.com if you would like to do so yourself. That's one argument. The second argument, I'm going to be brief here, is the argument to be made from the lack of transparency. This is outside the bounds. Republicans used to be against cronyism, to be able to pursue legislation that targeted different groups or different industries, or in this case, 3, maybe 4 rural counties. Usually, in our background in this republic, people have had a chance to vote. They've had a referendum. Their voices were allowed to be heard, but not in this case. The way this has been rolled out from day one is more than just problematic, it's wrong. And I'm happy to stand today with people from these different counties to say, we deserve a voice. No matter your position on gambling, whether it should be legalized or not, the very basis of the state representatives, specifically led by Pro Tem Majority Leader Senator Philberger, should allow these residents in these counties to be able to have a say-so. Why? Is because when you're coming in with that kind of force and that kind of industry that will literally change the entire culture of that community, many people have moved there because of that specific culture, as you've heard today, to bring in that level of industry without any regard to what these people believe, what they should have to say, and specifically how they should vote, I believe is wrong. And again, that's why I am here today. I appreciate the group here being led by Brendan Liebrick and so many others. I applaud their efforts, and we'll look forward to continuing to stand with them in the future. Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
What grounds? Sorry, say that again.
What are the allegations? What are the legal grounds?
Well, there are several. There's a state statute, there are local rules, and we believe that procedurally there are a number of defects and issues with them. One thing that is unique about this appeal, in June, there was a major change to the Unified Development Ordinance by the county commissioners that we believe was at the request of the development agency recorders companies that because what it would do is bypass a special permit use process for casino or certain electronic gaming and other things. So that will be challenged as well, in addition to the actual rezoning decision. So there are a number of procedural grounds, and then again, we think based on the statutory criteria, if it's unreasonable to rezone, they should have voted no, and we think it certainly was unreasonable for them to vote for that. Yeah. Anything else, or? No, there's not been an action filed yet. There are a number of landowners have already retained the attorney, but we expect it to be filed soon. Did you want to say anything? We did have one more. Dr. Reverend Mark Creech, who I think wants to share a few comments before we conclude. If you'll wrap us.
Let's see here. Thank you very much. There's not a lot more that I can add that's already been said, so I won't belabor this time with you, but I just want to point out something that I thought was interesting that I was looking at last night with regards to polling that has been provided to lawmakers about the support of evangelicals for gambling. That polling came from differentiators data, and the data provided by them says that support from evangelicals on North Carolina's education lottery is as high as 61%. Support for regulating and taxing video lottery games is as high as 49%. But I would suggest that these figures are suspect when compared to what the more well-known polling organizations are saying about evangelicals and their support for gambling. Lifeway Research survey in 2018, Lifeway Research conducted a poll that found that 54% of Protestant pastors in the United States believe that gambling is sinful. The survey included pastors from various denominations, including evangelical churches. Public Religion Research concluded a poll in 2017 that explored the religious landscape in the United States, and it found that white evangelical Protestants were more likely to believe that gambling is morally wrong compared to other religious groups. Around 60% of white evangelical Protestants held this view. Pew Research Center survey, in a wider study on religious beliefs and practices in America, the Pew Research Center conducted a survey in 2014 that asked participants what they believed about the matter. Hold it just a minute, I've lost my place. And what they said was that the survey found that about 58% of white evangelicals believe that gambling was morally wrong. The National Association of Evangelicals notes on their website the following. The National Association of Evangelicals reaffirms its opposition to gambling and lotteries, including those run by the government. These are socially, morally, and economically destructive. They are rooted in covetousness and violate the biblical work ethic. They've been holding that view firmly since 1985. So my point is, differentiation data is from a lesser known organization, and its data on gambling is not well documented. Moreover, it's critically important for Republicans to recognize the way that this issue splits Republicans, not only the Republican caucus. Please remember, when the state GOP convention was held in June of 2021 at Harrah's Casino in Cherokee, some Republicans sat out the convention that year because of their disdain for gambling. As a representative of thousands of evangelicals in North Carolina, I suggest that this kind of legislation will peel off just enough Republicans to prevent the NCGOP from being able to hold on to its supermajority in both chambers. I think that ought to be a concern for them. Differentiation Data is a much lesser known polling organization. Two of its major directors are former staff members of Senator Phil Berger. Therefore, I suggest that their data cannot be fully trusted as a polling source on evangelicals and their attitudes toward gambling, as much as the larger national polling services that were previously mentioned. There is strong opposition, I suggest, by evangelicals against gambling, and I can assure you they are very much opposed to this legislation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's all we have. Any final questions? All right, we'll let everyone get to some cooler temperatures out of this heat. Thanks again so much. And I think feel free to come try to speak to anyone here. I think especially those who spoke, but I think people would be available to share additional comments